first off, I want to give them a very, big round of applause for an amazing fight. We as fans, fight fans, casual, diehard fans, whatever, were very upset when this fight got pushed back. And it's kind of one of those things with COVID involved. You don't really need. I believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But October 9th came. It was on. Ding ding, bell. Well, all right. So first off, shout out to Tyson Fury winning that third.
Nah, hell no. That nigga said nigga. To hell with that. Hold up, man. Yeah, you see that video with him and all his kids in the crib singing Juicy? I said it. And it was like, if you don't know, now you know. Nigga, whole house is lit. I had to look up what a gypsy was. I was like, gypsy's not. I was like, hold up, bro. I know what this is.
He was holding the baby.
Bro,
he was in his
shit
bag.
Crazy, bro. And it because I was like, shout out Tyson Fury, because I like Tyson Fury. I'm like, I wasn't one of the ones that was like, I'm rooting for the nigga. I was like, man, Tyson about to get this dub. That's probably what's about to happen. You kind of we wanted Wilder to win for the sport, but it was like, man, Tyson win. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. He said that, and I was like, oh no. Nah.
So let's.
But I guess, man, shout out.
But I mean, all right.
Shout out Tyson Fury. I get your point. Shout out Tyson
because I wasn't. I mean, I saw you. You put it in the chat. I never clicked on the video. So
it was outrageous, bro.
I didn't know.
I was kind of shocked. Like, huh? I watched it like 6 times.
I'm not.
Huh?
I believe Conor McGregor says, nigga. I ain't gonna hold you.
I
both have an affinity for rap songs and rap culture.
I would believe it. And it's like, who go beat my ass? I get it. It's like the epitome of like, who go do something about it?
Who gonna check me?
But it's like, that's the problem. Like, that's the problem. Is that you said it and you could tell he knew. Like, who go fuck? It's right after the fight and you beat a nigga that's. I don't like that. The optics are bad, man.
That's fair.
The optics are bad. You have to shoot him.
So let's try.
You gotta shoot him.
You do have to shoot him. All right, let's streamline back prior to this incident. Tyson Fury gets the 11-round TKO. The late stoppage, which if you go back on Reach Over Culture podcast, I actually called in my objective take. My biased take was Deontay with the late stoppage. My objective take was Fury with the late stoppage. Now, when you look at the you good. When you look at the optics of the fight, you good. Right. Did you have?
I thought it was up.
Yeah,
hey, she moved fast. Yeah. No.
I'm saying, but she kind of.
I thought it was
fell
up.
Back a little other. Did you have?
It was quick, bro. I thought it was up.
When you look at the optics of the fight, I'll give a couple of my takes from the fight. One, quick to note, both of them came in at the heaviest that they've ever weighed in. Deontay coming in at 238 at the weigh-in. By the time fight time happened, I think he was 242, something like that. Tyson Fury weighed in at 278. Came into the fight about 280 and a little bit of change. Big fight, trilogy, draw first fight. Tyson Fury with the TKO the second fight. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy around that. Had to go to arbitration. Tyson Fury tried to get out of the third fight by legal stance, but ended up taking the third fight instead of trying to pay Deontay step-aside money. Now, when we get into the fight, Deontay was trying to box that first round. And he did.
He's looking good.
He was throwing a jab to the body. You could tell that this is stuff that he worked on in training. Throwing a jab to the body, jab to the body, jab to the body. Trying to get Tyson Fury to open up top so he can hit him over the top with the right hand. You could tell. And then Deontay kept the fight in the middle of the ring. He looked good in the first round. He also looked uncomfortable, in my opinion. It looked like all the extra weight played more of a detriment than it did in his benefit. And I understand him putting on the extra weight because when you watch the second fight, Tyson is leaning on him, he's holding him, and that wore Deontay down. He said, all right, I'm going to put on the extra weight. That way when I get hit with certain shots or I get leaned on, it's not going to affect me as much as it did in that second fight because Tyson essentially was going to keep the same game plan. Deontay was the one that had to adjust what he was doing. So Deontay came out. He boxing. He won. I had him winning the first round pretty clear, throwing the jab, coming over the top with the right hand.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me pull up my judge card real quick. Yeah, so I had him winning the first round pretty clear. I had by the second round he looked gassed. Honestly, he looked gassed by the second round.
I was about to say he looked gassed the whole time.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and towards the end of that first round, he kind of looked gassed. I'll give y'all that. Second round, I had Tyson winning pretty clear. So then is where it gets extra spicy. Tyson ends up knocking him down in the third round. Yep. I'm like, what dog say on San Andreas? What Carl Sainz said?
That nigga say, he go, is it? Damn, he go this shit again,
bro. No, literally, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. Whenever Tyson knocked him down the third round, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. It's just going to be the same stuff, because when Deontay got hit in that third round, Deontay resorted back to what he knows to do, which is to wait for the right hand, and he stopped going to the body as much, and he looked gassed, and he looked like the extra rate was holding him down. And in the fourth round, oh my God, this nigga Deontay got the knockdown. Jab, and then he even catch Fury with a full right.
Right.
It was kind of like a chip hook.
I was kind of surprised he went down.
Me too. Fury also looked rusty. He also looked out of shape. Also looked like he hadn't been in the ring for damn near 2 years, which he hadn't.
Right.
So he got chipped with the right hand. Well, he got hit with the right hand, and then got punched, jab to the body, and then he got chipped with another right hand. He went down. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, all right, we on demon time now. We back,
bro. I was lit.
We back.
I was like, come on,
we bite.
Here we go.
We bite.
I thought it was hope.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't enough, man. He knocked this nigga down again.
I was like, yeah, it's raps.
I said, I didn't think it was rap shit.
I did. I'm like, okay, he looked like he back.
Listen, I didn't think Tyson was about to get up from that second, but when he got up, I said, it's not going to go the way Deontay wants us to go. I got flashbacks from the first fight.
Right.
When he knocked him down in the 11th. I was in there, bro. We was in there. Esco was in there. Keontae was in there. All the bullies was in there. Will was in there. Everybody was in there. I was in Cinemark that first fight, bro. Tyson winning damn near the whole fight. I looked down at my phone for 1 second. Crowd go, because obviously in the Cinemark, bro, and I really hope Cinemark starts showing fights again, because it was lit. All the Caucasians was going for Tyson.
Naturally.
And all the brothers up north, literally from out north, was going for Deontay. It was niggas in there. It was packed to the brim. And the crowd just go crazy, and then I look up and Tyson on the floor, and Deontay, it gave me that vibe. I said, oh, we lit. I said, Deontay might actually pull this off. This Tyson, look. I was like, oh, he ain't about to get up. This thing got up. All right. I guess I'll go at this again. And from that moment on, you could just see the light flush from Deontay's face, just like in the first fight. He said, this nigga got up again. And from that moment on, just like the first fight, Tyson continued to win that round. Now, obviously, we're going to score the round to Deontay. And at that point, I had the fight tied. I had Deontay up by a point at that point, and then from that moment on, Tyson just started to pick him apart. Every round, Deontay was losing. And then we get to the 11th round. Now, it ain't even the fact that Deontay lost. This nigga got knocked the fuck out. That shit was bad, boy.
Yeah.
That boy.
I was hurt.
This nigga Fury said,
and you saw it coming.
I
think that's what hurt so bad. You saw it coming. I saw Deontay's life flash before it happened.
Bro, when that happened, I'm sitting there watching. It's lit in here. I'm sitting there watching. All you saw, I did the bear face. I said,
that man slept. I'm like, oh, yeah.
What is going on?
Throwing the white towel.
This man, Deontay.
Somebody, please. Please.
Listen, people saying this fight of the year, and I get that. It's not. You don't watch a beating for 5-6 rounds straight and say that's a fight of the year, bro. Yeah. At the end of the day, I get it. The first 4 rounds, 5 rounds, electrifying fight. 5 knockdowns or 3 knockdowns within the first 5 rounds is very super duper electrifying. But at the end of the day, when you watch those last 4 to 5 rounds, it wasn't a contest, bro.
That was pain.
It was clearly levels to it,
Man.
from both guys. Again, being out of the ring for the same equal amount of time. Neither one of these dudes has had a fight in them the last 2 years. Both of them look rusty. Both of them look like they need to sharpen their tools a little bit. But Tyson just proved to be the better man. And Deontay had absolutely, positively no excuses this time. It just is what it is. What were y'all thoughts on the fight as a whole?
Very entertaining.
Yeah, I was
very entertaining.
It was entertaining. At the same time, I was hurt. I'm like the moment the first round started and he was throwing that jab to the body. I'm like, okay, like I see what you're doing here and I like it. Like I think it. Okay, I see something. But then that second round, it's like the man just looked uncomfortable the entire fight, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
like it's like he had Parkinson's. And I'm not trying to make a joke of anybody who have it, but the bro was up here just shaking. I'm like, bro, what's happening? Like, he looked like he was uncomfortable with all that weight, and you could tell that second round. From that moment on, it was like, and that's why them 2 knockdowns, I was shocked. I'm like, oh, okay,
right,
okay, we may have something here. But then he got up, and I'm like, he hit you twice, and you got back up.
Turned out to be nothing at all.
I'm like, yeah, and it's like them hits gave Fury like some energy. Bro was in there moving, like it's like he was gassed starting out, but he had energy to end it.
He got stronger. It felt like he got stronger because I got home and turned the fight on during the second round. So I turned it on in the second round, and I'm like, yo, these niggas look bent. Like, yo, how old is these niggas, bro? I was feel like watching. You ever seen Grudge Match? That's what it felt like I was watching. I'm like, yo, what's happening? And then he got the knockdown, which I was kind of surprised by. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. But you knew he was getting up.
Yeah.
When he got the second one, I'm like, I don't know. You could just, it's like you said, like you could see Tyson getting more. It's like he needed to get hit to be reminded of what was happening. Like, oh yeah, like we're fighting.
We here now.
Like we're really fighting.
Yeah.
And when he got up from the second one, I'm like, yeah, Deontay cooked, bro. He ain't got nothing left for him. His legs was looking wild. His legs looked small. I'm like, man, this nigga look wobbly. Like you said, his hands was shit. I'm like, man, this nigga not gonna make it. And then watching him get smacked around the ring the last 4-5 rounds.
It hurt.
It was like, it was kind of sad, bro, because it was like, yeah, you're truly, because like, you know, like, it's rare moments of our lives, especially because like combat sports are so different, because it's kind of like the peak of what we classify as like manhood in society, like combat sport. And to have to, you know, we've been in fights like in school and like, but I ain't never had no fight with nobody where I felt like win or lost, like you just better than me. And to watch Deontay have to, like, yeah, he just better. Like he just better than you, dog. And it was sad because, like, man, you get knocked around the ring, you bouncing off the ropes, you trying your best. Your people's not calling the fight because they ain't trying to have another, you know, fight 2 fiasco. So they just letting you get your head beat in. I'm sitting here around like 10-9, like, bro, somebody. What are we gonna do? Yeah, and he kept coming back out, and it's like, oh my!
Nobody throwing in that tile.
I'm like, bro. And then at the end, you go down like that, you sleep. And I'm just like, yeah,
sleep,
this feels like, this sadly feels like the end of the Deontay Wilder era.
Which is going to go to my next question, which is, what should both guys do next? I was telling Rob, and I told you, if Deontay won the fight, I wouldn't have been surprised. Well, if Fury won the fight, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired, which is already rumored.
Yeah,
that he might be retiring.
Why not?
Called it. Because you get the trilogy over with Deontay. Anthony Joshua losing to Usyk changed everything. And that's and I was talking to MC, like, because he asked me a good question. He said, would it be better for Deontay to win or to lose? At first I said it'd probably be better for him to lose. But taking the AJ loss into consideration, I'm saying, nah, it'd be better for Deontay to win. It evens the playing field. 3 out of the 4 top heavyweights have gotten the L. If Fury wins, people aren't calling for the Fury Usyk fight.
Yeah,
It's just not.
Usyk an animal.
And Usyk an animal, but it's like the optics of it don't look good. Usyk 6'5", Fury 6'9", 270. Usyk 6'5", and he cracked 240, but he's not gonna go into 240 fighting Fury. You're just not, because you got to be able to move around. Because Fury can move just as good as you can at his size.
Crazy.
So the same thing that Usyk would have been able to get away with against Anthony Joshua, he can't get away with Fury, because Fury moves better and is a better boxer than AJ. So you can't get away with the same stuff. And so with Fury winning, I already knew that there's no big money in the AJ fight, because people don't even think AJ can beat Usyk, who's 3 inches shorter than him and 20 pounds lighter. So they damn sure don't think that you can beat Tyson Fury at this point. So there's no money in that fight. And everybody else outside of Usyk and AJ and Deontay, Fury's already beaten. There's nobody else to win. There's nobody else to beat Fury. And now boxing in the heavyweight division is at a stalemate. The fight is out.
Which sucks.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody's calling for a Deontay AJ fight. People still watch it. It's entertaining. I'll still watch it. I'm damn sure tuning in. But it's not the mega fights and the big money fights anymore. They're no longer there. Usyk and Fury have ruined the whole paradigm. It's just done.
Ruined it.
That's why people was calling for the AJ Deontay fight 6 years ago. Do this before these niggas take L's, because both of them will take L's at some point. Yeah. So that's why people was calling for the Earl Spence and Bud Crawford fight. Do this before one of these niggas lose. When none of these niggas take an L, it's a dub. And I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Fury retires. As far as what's next for Deontay, I heard he's already rumored to come back in April, May, and which in hindsight it makes sense. Deontay could still beat a lot of heavyweights.
I just wish he was younger,
right?
Because I feel like I wish he had taken his loss earlier. Because I feel like even with him coming into the fight, trying to jazz, okay, you're trying to work on it, but I feel like he's building now a skill set almost from scratch. That's gonna take years before he can really throw it in a way where it's like, okay, you can compete again with top heavyweights. Yeah. By that point, he gonna be too old. Right. So it's like I want to see him fight still, but I wish he had more time to develop his game to a place where it's like, okay, you can really, like, you've learned to box now.
I will say this in defense of him with that is boxing is proven to be it's proven to be an old man sport in some form or fashion.
And he almost 40.
He's 35.
I thought it was like 37.
He's 35. It's about 34, 35.
Okay.
So, with the George Foremans, Joe Frazier's, Larry Holmes of the world, who's come back and won titles at 40, 41. Deontay's in a lot better shape than them and more athletic than them. It's possible.
But did they have to learn to box? Muhammad did not.
And that's absolutely fair. I will say this about Deontay. Deontay, with this fight, got back to a skill set that he did have at a younger age. He was never the greatest boxer.
He turned 36 yesterday. Yeah. Shout out to Deontay Wilder.
I say, I just looked.
Happy birthday, Deontay.
He turned 36 yesterday.
Word. Shout out to the boy. Deontay, the things he was doing in that fight, he did earlier in his career. Mm-hmm. Got away from him because he was able to knock dudes out with one punch. Mm-hmm. And if you go 10 straight title defenses, being able to do one thing, like any cocky individual, you're going to feel like you don't have to do that. Now, this gives this is the upside about Fury possibly retiring. This gives Deontay an opportunity to reinvent himself, because there's not a lot of great heavyweights out there. Mm-hmm. And you can go out there and you can get away with that Deontay. I will say this, that Deontay that night is still better than 95% of the heavyweights I've seen. Mm-hmm. It's still better. To be able to throw the jab and do the certain things that he do, it's just you're fighting the best heavyweight on the planet. Yeah. It just is.
Do you think he can build his way back up to being a box office draw? Or there being like fights that he's a part of?
That's the only kicker.
That's because that's mainly the
that's
position
the only kicker. It's not
that I'm coming from, is like him building his way back up to being the draw like that.
Nah, and that's the kicker.
I feel like if he was younger, he could.
Him and AJ will not be the draw that they can be. And unfortunately, in this game, in the fight game, that's already very meticulous on how they pick their superstars, and pay-per-views already being as tough as they are to sell. Mm-hmm. Nah, he won't do that. But to have a career, he'll be able to get some M's still. and so he can continue a career. He just neither him nor AJ will be the box office draw that they are known to be. Like AJ was on par with the Canelos and the Errol Spencers, but he won't be that. Deontay already was struggling to be a draw prior to the Fury fight. Like a lot of people like he wasn't a box office pay-per-view guy prior to the Fury fight. He was just getting his pay-per-views under his belt. And so, he won't be that, but he can go another 3 or 4 years and beat a lot of these other heavyweights. Get a title back if Tyson does decide to give it, because he can't beat Usyk. And he might not even be able to beat AJ as well. The point with that is the heavyweight division, in my opinion, it's going to be flatline for another 3 or 4 years. There are some younger heavyweights, especially from the States, that are coming up that I would tell people to pay attention to, like a Michael Hunter, like a Jared Anderson. But the heavyweight division is so tough to build a name. It's so tough to become a pay-per-view draw to the casual fan, that by the time these guys get a prominent name, Deontay at that point would have been too old. And it's going to be a dub. And nobody's going to care about Jared Anderson beating up on Deontay. Just like at some point nobody cared about Larry Holmes beating up on Muhammad Ali. You're supposed to do that. And nobody cared about Mike Tyson beating up on Larry Holmes. At that point, you pass your prime. They're supposed to bust your ass. It just is what it is. Like Errol would have did Manny.
Like Lennox did to Mike.
It just is what it like, bro. They supposed to bust your ass. It's just what. So yeah, with Deontay, what's next? He'll come back, fight in April. I think he can get a title back, but by this time, I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk running this goddamn division in the next 2-3 years.
I mean, by the looks of it.
But Usyk's only plan. He said he's only planning on fighting for till 35, and I think he's 33 right now. So the fight game is over. Rob, what's your takeaways on or as far as what Deontay can do next? Do you think he should just keep it trucking, just go ahead and retire? What you think he should do?
I mean, if Usyk planning on retiring at 35, he's 34 right now. So in that case, keep fighting, bro, and just keep running the division, because Fury probably about to retire. Like you said, he has nothing else to prove, and there's nobody else to fight. If Usyk genuinely is planning on retiring or like not fighting no more after 35, 36, like anybody else really that you have to necessarily worry about. So Fury should definitely retire, hang it up. I mean, phenomenal career, even better comeback. And Deontay, I say fight 2 more years.
Call it a dub.
And get some more M's in your bank. And call it a dub, because you can't go out like this. Yeah. So
I'm just sad for the heavyweight division, because at this point it's stale now, which is why I felt like Deontay. It was better if Deontay won the fight, because it keeps the division interesting. But now it's like Fury's clearly ahead of everybody else, and so now we just gotta watch the. And don't get me wrong, as a boxing fan.
Oh yeah,
I'm okay. I'm okay with where boxing is at.
It's still lit,
but it's just the heavyweight division. It's never gonna get like it was as hot as it's been the last 2 or 3 years. That's as hot as it's been since the 90s, and it might not get back to this space until another 5 to 10 years from now. You know, a lot of these heavyweights, they got to go and fight 30, 40 fights just to get. Mind you, Deontay's fought over 40 fights.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right, Fury's fought over 30 something fights, so you know. But shout out to Deontay though, man. It was a great effort. I will
great effort, man.
It was a great effort. Like I do want to say that, like Deontay, it was a hell of an effort, and I can't ever knock you for giving it a shot, getting in there a third time. Yeah. Even though I felt, I mean, the general consensus of boxing fans felt like, you should probably take somebody else prior. And even his trainer, and I want to give a shout out to his trainer as well, his trainer Malik Scott, because a lot of people were skeptic on him simply because, one, Deontay beat him, and two, is like you didn't have any real success as a boxer yourself. Yeah, which in the boxing world is a little bit more strenuous than it is in the NFL and the NBA, because when you look at the NFL and NBA, a lot of these guys don't have success as players, but they have success as coaches. Some guys are just better at telling you what to do than doing it themselves. It just is. And a lot of people have kind of frowned upon Malik Scott, because it's like, all right, this guy has no real experience as a trainer, and he really walked away with 10 times the respect that he had from trainers that's been doing this for years after that night, because it's like you prepared Deontay the best that you possibly could. Deontay couldn't be any better than what he was that night.
Yeah.
After being off for 2 years, it just is. So shout out to Malik Scott, and he's definitely gonna get more fighters under his wing because, like, all right, if you could rejuvenate Deontay to a degree where we even felt like for 2 rounds that he might have had the fight. In the fight, he was a heavy underdog. In the boxing world, to the casual fans, a lot of people actually had him winning, but in the boxing world, he's a heavy underdog. Shout out to Malik Scott for his first time up, being a trainer, being in that position, and helping Deontay look the way he looked. Because for the first few rounds, you kind of had me convinced. This shit was about to change for a little bit. Like, you had me a little convinced. But, you know, and he kept it G, and his trainer kept it G in interviews after the fight. He said, you know, Deontay just got away from what we trained.
Yeah.
He got away from it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that first round, the body, throwing feints, and what we was working on him first.